All right, let's get right into it. Something absolutely huge is happening in the world of tech. We're talking about a seismic shift, a real pivot, and it's all happening in one place, India. Today, we're going to unpack what many are calling the Great Indian Tech Gold Rush. So let's start with a number that just makes you stop and stare. $67.5 billion. Now, this isn't some company's valuation. No, this is the amount of new investment that just a handful of the world's biggest tech companies are pouring into India. So what does a number this big actually mean? And who's writing these massive checks? Well, it's the names you'd expect. You've got Amazon leading the charge with a whopping $35 billion. Microsoft is putting in $17.5 billion, which, by the way, is their biggest investment in Asia ever. And Google is throwing in another $15 billion for good measure. Make no mistake, this isn't a coincidence. It's a massive, coordinated, strategic play. Which, of course, brings us to the $67 billion question, right? This whole story is about way more than just money. It's about a fundamental pivot in where the actual future of technology is being built. And the big question is, why India and why right now?
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at where that money is actually going. We're not just talking about shiny new apps. We're talking about the absolute bedrock of the digital world. Huge cloud data centers, the infrastructure for AI research, massive logistics networks, and even things like sovereign data systems. That's the stuff that handles a country's most sensitive information. They're literally building the backbone for a whole new digital economy.
Now, to really get your head around this, you have to understand that India's entire role in the tech world is being rewritten. For decades, it was known as the world's back office. Well, that's changing. We are watching it transform into a genuine powerhouse. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. I mean, look at the shift. The past, India was the outsourcing hub, a place focused on services and consuming tech, with pretty modest infrastructure. The future that's being built right now, it's an innovation hub, a place where AI is not just used, but created. It's becoming a core, essential node in the entire global cloud network.
So, what's fueling all this? Well, a massive part of it comes down to people, to talent. By 2030, it's projected that India will have 57.5 million developers. Think about that. That will make it the single largest pool of engineering talent on the entire planet. That's a scale of human capital that's it's unmatched.
And this quote right here, it gets to the heart of another really crucial point. Because of its incredible diversity, so many languages, cultures, and economic situations, India is basically the ultimate stress test for any new AI model. The thinking is, if you can build an AI that works seamlessly across all of India's complexity, you can make it work just about anywhere in the world. And if you're still trying to picture just how big all this is, get this. Microsoft is building a new data center in Hyderabad that's reportedly larger than 2 Eden Gardens cricket stadiums put together. I mean, that's not just big, that's infrastructure on a truly colossal scale. But here's the thing. Talent and infrastructure, that's only part of the story. There is a huge geopolitical current running underneath all of this, and it's completely redrawing the map of global technology. Which leads you to ask the really obvious question, right? Why this insane flood of investment on this scale at this exact moment? For these global tech giants, the answer really begins with a single word: China. You see, for years, China was the undisputed center of gravity for tech growth. But with rising geopolitical tensions and a regulatory environment that's become, let's say, unpredictable, American companies are desperately looking for a stable, long-term alternative. And India just ticks all the boxes. It's a democracy, it has a massive English-speaking workforce, and it's making a clear push toward controlling its own data. It has become the most viable option out there. So you'd probably think that with all this cash flying around, it's a great time for every startup in India, right? That all boats are rising with the tide. But actually, the reality on the ground is way more complicated. It's like a tale of 2 completely different startup scenes. First, if you look at the big picture, overall funding for Indian startups is actually going down, way down from its peak back in 2021. I mean, it's dropped from over $29 billion to less than $8 billion in the same time frame. But, and this is a huge but, at the very same time, funding for one very specific kind of startup is absolutely exploding. In the first part of 2025, investment into Indian AI startups jumped by almost 46% from the year before. So, what on earth is going on? What this tells us is that this isn't a crash, it's a realignment, a really strategic one. Investors are shifting their money away from the consumer apps of the past and they're pouring it into deep tech, into enterprise software, and especially into AI tools. The exact kind of startups that can build on top of all that new infrastructure we were just talking about. And all of this brings us to the final and maybe most important question, because like any gold rush, this one comes with incredible promise, but also some very serious risks. The stakes for India's future could not be higher. On the one hand, the potential upside is just enormous. We're talking massive job creation, the ability to leapfrog into an AI-first economy, and true digital sovereignty. But on the other hand, the dangers are just as real. You have the risk of widening the gap between rich and poor, of local startups getting squeezed out, and huge environmental and regulatory challenges. So as this all plays out, these are the key things to keep an eye on. Are those promised jobs actually showing up? Are local startups able to thrive, or are they just getting swallowed up? And maybe most importantly, are the incredible benefits from all this growth going to be shared fairly across the entire country? So that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Are we watching the birth of the world's next tech superpower, one built on a real foundation of steel and silicon? Or is this a massive bubble, inflated by geopolitics, that's just waiting to burst? Right now, the race is on, and believe me, the entire world is watching.